Hi, everyone. It's Dr. Azi here. Welcome to the More Than a Pretty Face podcast. We are back with part 2 of our podcast with board-certified rhinoplasty surgeon, Dr. Deepak Dugar. Yeah, it's really hard to evaluate yourself, right? Because you're not looking at yourself like, you would be looking at them or other people see them. Do you feel like people come in with a realistic view of what their nose actually needs?
Yeah, I would say 90% of my patients, because they're kind of pre-qualified, pre-selected, 90% of my practice now is referral, word of mouth. I don't really do any marketing, stuff like that anymore. So it's all referral, word of mouth. So it's patients who have had a good experience telling other patients and their friends. Like I have this little pocket in Australia where I've done like 150 nose jobs in Australia the past 3 years. And it's because like they keep telling their friends about it. So it's like, for me, my practice is a little different because it's all kind of pre-selected patients. But I would say that the 10% that do just find me randomly, I do think that you have to have that conversation. And that's back to my, step 1 and stage 2, whether or not I even do the nose job on them, is making sure what they want is realistic. Some people are just really thinking outside the box. And that's why I wrote the book that I wrote. We'll get into that more, is because I think a lot of people need a deeper conversation. Sometimes my 30 to 40-minute consultation with someone who I say no to can be just as empowering and just as powerful sometimes as the patient I end up doing the nose job on. And then they thank me a year later and say it changed their life, right? So I think it's a mixture, because sometimes that conversation, they need to talk to someone like you or someone like me, who is an expert in our field of beauty. And they sit down with you, and you being an authority, Dr. Azi, telling them, listen, I think you're beautiful. I think you're gorgeous. I don't even want your money. I want you to go out there and conquer the world, kill it. Just do what you do. Don't worry. You don't need this injection. You don't need this nose job to be any better. Do what you do. And I think sometimes hearing it from us versus their friends, their mom, mom's advice is like, you take it when it's, when you need their advice, you take it. When you don't need it, come on. And the other thing I've learned about parents and parenting, and too, because, I as nose jobs, it's a younger game, right? Facelifts, you're talking about 50s and up. Nose jobs is 16 and up, right? So I see a lot of 16 to 25-year-olds, they come in with their parents a lot of the times. And it's interesting with the parents. Some of the parents, we as kids and humans take positivity from our parents very lightly. We don't really absorb it too much. Your parent can tell you all day how beautiful you are, how beautiful you are, how beautiful you are. It may never sink in, right? But if your parent says one negative thing about you, it sinks straight in, and you never forget it. And so I see that sometimes. I see that sometimes, these young kids where their parent made one negative comment and now it's stuck in their head and they can't get it out.
Oh, yeah, that's so true. I think you're right on about that. So, people always ask me, does our nose grow with age? Can you just set the record straight? I want to hear from you. What happens to the nose as we age? And do people need a second rhinoplasty as they get older?
Right. Great question. So I will say that yes, the answer is yes. The nose does grow with the age. Just like your ears do, just like your breasts do, just like your arms do, just like your stomach does. Everything grows because of gravity. So it's not growing in the sense that the cartilage continues to elongate. It's falling. The nose continues to fall. So
do you have more tissue though? Do you have more skin? Or it just gets laxed?
I think it just gets lax. Yeah, exactly. Just like the face or the breasts do. I think it just gets lax, and then that laxity does create more tissue technically, because you're expanding it. Just like when you put a tissue expander for a breast reconstruction, you don't have the skin, and yet all of a sudden the skin ends up forming because you're expanding it. Just like a muscle growth, right? When you work out really hard in the gym, your muscle grows and expands. So you get new muscle technically because you're expanding the current muscle. So yeah, the skin does grow, the cartilage grows because the nose gets droopy. And I've seen this in a lot of celebrities. If you Google some of your favorite celebrities from 30 years ago, look at their noses now. Like Tom Cruise is an example. If you look at Tom Cruise's nose 30 years ago versus now, and you look at photos of him when he was 30 versus now, it's a little bit of a different nose. There's characteristics. And I don't think Tom has ever done his nose, to be honest. I think it looks very natural. I definitely don't think he's done his nose, to be honest. And my point of bringing that up is that I genuinely think that our noses change and the anatomy changes, the cartilage changes with the skin. Sometimes you'll see more cartilaginous tips as people get older versus when they're younger, where it looks a little bit more soft and a little bit more like curved and round. And then the other thing is sometimes you'll see people who have hook noses. They get even more hooked when they get older sometimes. So I do see that gravity change is real. Do you need a second rhinoplasty? The second part of your question, the answer is not necessarily. So I do think, and this is not a reason to get one, but I do think that getting a rhinoplasty, the scar tissue that forms in the nose does naturally lend itself to reducing the amount of future gravity dependent changes. So you just have a little bit less change once you've had surgery because the scar tissue holds things in place.
Yeah, that makes sense. Hi, everyone. It's Dr. Azi. With the holidays quickly approaching, what better time to start renewing your skin so you can put your best face forward at all the upcoming get-togethers? AziMD Skincare is offering 20% off our Lift and Renew serum to our podcast listeners only. Clinical studies show similar efficacy to prescription Retin-A, but without the irritation. It combines trans-retinol and a slow-release technology with bakuchiol and antioxidants, making it a powerful, science-backed anti-aging night serum. Lift and Renew is a multitasking serum to renew skin cells, improve skin texture, pores, fine lines, and discoloration for a brighter complexion. Take 20% off Lift and Renew serum at checkout on AziMDSkincare.com with code October20. I love to see your skincare transformations, so tag me in your posts on Instagram at Skin by Dr. Azi. Now, I also have seen people doing threads on the nose, which I just cringe when I see that. What do you think about that? You said scar tissue, and immediately I forgot I wanted to ask you about threads in the nose.
Oh man, I'm so happy that you're asking because I'm first of all very happy that me and you're on the same team about this because otherwise it's kind of awkward. But oh my God, I will say I'll go on the record publicly and say I think threads in the nose is one of the most ridiculous, absolute unnecessary procedures in our entire field. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. It does absolutely nothing. It just creates a little volume and a little bit of scar tissue. Long-term does nothing. Short-term doesn't even look that good on most patients. I've had hundreds of patients over the years come in after they've had threads in their nose from a med spa, and they come in and talk about it. Not a single patient has told me good things about their experience. They all say it kind of seemed pointless, waste of money. Some of them had cosmetic concerns, like you can see the thread, or 2 or 3 of my patients had threads that were extruding, had to be removed, which is a nightmare. It's just all nonsensical. It makes no sense. I do not think anyone will be putting threads in the nose in 5 years. I think this is just a little fad, and I think God bless. Hopefully patients listening to this understand, do not put threads in your nose. And the rest of your face, I think it's fantastic. A lot of uses for threads, but just not in the nose. So we're not saying threads are bad. Threads are great. I think they have a lot of use. I just think threads in the nose has no real purpose.
Yeah, I agree. It doesn't make sense to me either.
Where do you use threads mostly? Are you a big thread person in general?
I'm not a huge thread person. I think it has its place, and there's a select number of people that I choose to do the threads on, but I don't believe in doing threads over and over and over again, because I could just, I'm just seeing the histology under the microscope of what's happening to the skin, right? You want a little bit of fibrosis, right? And that's what it does. You want a little bit of volume, but if you overdo it, then you're really scarring your natural skin. You're losing your elastin. Everybody talks about collagen, which is fine. It does stimulate type 3 collagen, but what about the elastin? It's getting replaced by this scar tissue that's type 3 collagen. It's not really the good collagen. So there is its place, but it can definitely be overdone. And that's when you see people that are almost like, plastic. They're too fibrotic.
Yes.
They don't have as much of that elasticity that, is natural.
Yeah. And I love that you brought up the histology, because obviously in your specialty, that's such a huge part of life. And I think that it's so important because collagen, everyone assumes more collagen is better. Right. But no one takes into effect that there is such a thing as bad collagen modeling. Collagen has to be modeled in a proper way for it to look pretty. Bad collagen modeling or unnecessary modeling looks terrible, like you said, those very fibrotic faces that we see a lot in LA.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate. And I think it's, it's the people that maybe don't know better and certainly, can. Too much of a good thing is not a good thing.
Right. Exactly.
Well, I'm so excited to hear more about your book. So tell us what inspired you to first write the book? Like tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I've done over 10,000 consults now. So after doing 10,000 consults and knowing that I turn away a lot of them, I turn away about 30% of my consults. So that's 3,000 conversations I had with people to tell them that they don't need surgery with me, at least. Okay. And I realized so many of those people were getting a very, very positive conversation. A lot of them, especially the ones that I'm telling not to do surgery at all and trying to get them in this 20, 30-minute period, right? We as physicians, I don't have all day to sit there, or, I don't have a week to go to a boot camp with them. So all I have is like 20 minutes. And in that 20, 30 minutes, I'm trying to really explain to them why they're so amazing, so perfect, so beautiful, just as they are. And a lot of people get this really high resonance. I had this one patient, this high school kid, she must have been, 18 or 17, just about to graduate high school. And she wrote me a letter when she was in college saying, like, I changed her life with that conversation.
Aww.
And, even if that happened one time and it never happens again, right? I still feel like, wow, that was so worth it to me, because I just gave her such confidence in who she was. Because some reason her boyfriends, her parents, again, when her parents or people that are supposed to love you tell you positive things, it's useless for us, right? It's humans. but when I did it, and I'm supposed to say negative things to her, right? I'm supposed to pick her apart and give her a big bill and tell her how much to pay me so I can make her a better person, right? And when I gave her positive, because it was the opposite of what she was expecting, she took it really deeply. So because of that conversation, because of those moments, I was like, this needs to be on a bigger platform than just people paying me to do a consultation and me getting to do this, 10 times a day. Let me figure out how to do this in a bigger volume. And that's where the impetus of the book came from.
I love that. So when did you write it? In all your free time, how do you balance all of this?
Yeah. So thankfully I did utilize a lot of the downtime during COVID. And I'm also, I'm a big lifestyle guy. I'll be honest, because I love what I do. I love doing noses. And I honestly will be doing this probably the next 50 years. Mm-hmm. I don't plan to ever stop doing it. I figured out a way longevity wise that I can do this for as long as I can, based on my body, based on my neck, my back. People don't realize surgeons have a lot of physical issues. Most surgeons have neck or back issues by the time they're in their late 30s, early 40s, and it plagues you for the rest of your career. And so it's one of those things you just have to be cognizant of as a young surgeon to make sure that you're not going to overwork yourself. It's the same reason Kobe Bryant plays 82 games a season and doesn't play 160. He could easily play 160, but then he wouldn't have lasted 20 seasons, right? He would have only made it to 8 seasons. So knowing that, I only operate 2 days a week, and then the other 2 days a week I do consults, and then 3 days a week I'm off. I take time for myself, my family. So that's when I spend time on these other business ventures, other ideas, creativity outlets, like writing the book. So I spend 1 day a week writing it for almost a year and a half. And I just kind of blocked off time, just like I would block off time for surgery. Because I have so many colleagues who ask me, like, how the hell did you actually finish the book? Because everyone, I'm sure you have 6 books that you're in the middle of writing, right? And it's like one of those things, like, you have these ideas, but you never finish it. I just made it very structured. It was like my surgeries, like right after this podcast, I have to go do 3 more nose jobs. I don't have an option. I have to go do them, right? And so it's the same thing with the book. I didn't have an option. Every Thursday, I had to sit down and write, 1 or 2 chapters, and I just made it a deal with myself.
And honestly, I think that makes you a better surgeon. I think that makes you a happier person, you're more fulfilled, because all these things kind of feed into each other. So I love that approach.
Yeah. Thank you.
I know you've got another surgery to go to, but I want to finish up the podcast and ask some rapid fire questions. You ready?
Okay. Yes, let's do it.
All right. Let me pull these up. All right. So you go to Starbucks. What do you order?
I will get an oat milk latte, and I'll admittedly get 1 or 2 Splendas in it.
Wow. That's quite an order. Oatmeal latte. I've never had that. So favorite procedure to do? This is obvious.
Breast implants.
And then best vacation spot?
I would probably say Hawaii, and I really love the Four Seasons. It's just so beautiful there. It's a new construction hotel. It was the hotel that they filmed that show that won all the awards, actually. I'm forgetting the name of it now. The one Sydney Sweeney's on.
So guilty as pleasure?
I'll say overindulging on sugar and carbohydrates.
Favorite fashion designer? Are you into fashion?
Yeah. I really, really have recently gotten into, I like Louis Vuitton jackets. Like, I just like men's, oversized
like
men's
sports jackets, or like, are you sporty or are you dressy?
Probably more sporty than dressy. So like oversized sports jackets at Louis Vuitton, like Virgil made a bunch of them before he passed away. And they're just cool. I like the vibe.
I like it. And then do you have a hidden talent other than writing?
I am a phenomenal dancer.
All right. Okay, I was not prepared for that.
I really am. So I grew up Indian and growing up
Okay.
Indian, dance is part of life. Where are you from, Dr.
You know
Azi?
what? I'm Iranian, and I
Yeah,
grew up watching Indian movies with
I bet you did.
dancing,
Yes,
and it was a huge
yes,
part.
of
I
course.
love the dancing in the Indian
Yeah,
movies.
we idolize the Shah Rukh Khan, Hrithik Roshan. I mean, we idolize these humans, and it's because of their ability to entertain. And so, dance and music is just part of our culture. So, I've been doing that for my whole life. I love it.
Okay, well, next time you have a party, you have to invite me.
I will. I certainly will. It's a lot of Bhangra, a lot of Indian music. You'll like it.
And then cocktail of choice.
For me, it's definitely red wine. I'm a big wine guy. I like France. I like Australian Shirazes. I like Bordeaux. I like a little bit of everything. I'm a big wine guy. I like Italian wines, like Super Tuscans. I like it all. I'm a big wine guy.
You're a red guy. You're a red wine.
Red wine guy. Big red wine guy. Yeah.
Well, I love it. I learned so much today. It was so fun talking with you. Tell us about how people can get a hold of your book, because I'm so
Yes.
excited to read it.
Yeah. So it's available anywhere you can order a book. So Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes and Nobles. You can search my name, Deepak Dugar, like Deepak Chopra, but last name Dugar, Dugar. Otherwise, it's called Beautiful, but it's spelled BU. So that's the whole theme of the book. Is for you to be you and not be anyone else. So Beautiful spelled BU.
I love it.
Yeah.
We're going to link it in the show notes.
Thank you.
Glad we got a chance to chat. And
yeah, my pleasure.
Hopefully I'll see you at an Indian party dancing.
Yes, absolutely. Keep doing what you're doing. You have a great podcast. Your listeners are so lucky to have you. And it's awesome, the value you're giving back to society. So thank you for doing what you do.
All right. Thanks so much for joining us. Take care.
Bye-bye.